houses. No, because that would be useful and actually help people. No, it's yet more tinkering, giving councils the power to ban future holiday lets if their local area doesn't have enough affordable housing to rent or buy. So if you're a second homeowner, well done you, frankly, having that money. Lucky lots of people just to be a first homeowner. But you'll be forced to seek planning permission if you want to start renting out your property. The idea is you've got a lot of people living in areas like holiday hotspots, like particularly Cornwall, Devon, the Lake District, Norfolk, where actually, you know, local people are completely priced out of the market, as so many are being sold to second homeowners. Well, let's talk to Russell Quirk about this, political commentator, property expert, and of course my TalkTV colleague. Good morning to you, Russell.
Good morning.
Always good to speak to you. I thought of you as soon as I saw this story, and I thought this is just a classic example of, yeah, this is an issue. I mean, it's particularly an issue in, you know, I know places like Cornwall, which just become absolutely, you know, ghost towns, a lot of these places. Beautiful little former fishing villages, no local jobs other than the tourist industry. That's only in the summer. People are renting out their homes, loads of money awash, and then suddenly everyone goes home. The place is completely empty, and no one can afford to buy any of the homes because they're competing with people who, you know, who got the money to buy a second home, coming largely from places like London. There is an issue that needs to be sorted. Is this the solution, though?
No, and actually, when you look at the data, Julia, so the likes of Cornwall, so St Ives and such places that are beautiful and that attract second homeowners, there is no evidential data whatsoever to show that those areas have seen a disproportionate jump in house prices because of second homeowners.
Isn't there?
The data simply doesn't support it whatsoever. I'm also from the kind of the school that believes that when you own a property, it's up to you to do what you like with it, rather than the government telling you what you can do with it. And frankly, and you got me on a bit of a rant here, Julia, frankly, the fact that the planning system is so broken and so obstructive now, ask anybody that's tried to get a conservatory or an extension, let alone a developer trying to build 40 or 50 houses that people locally need. The planning system is completely broken, obstructive, and not fit for purpose. The fact now that we're going to go and stick hundreds of thousands of holiday home applications through that same system is frankly insane.
But I mean, I think there's a perfectly good argument to say that, you know, people are talking about, say, double of council tax rates if it's a second home. But again, if you can afford to buy a second home, a couple of extra grand on your council tax year ain't going to be here nor there in terms of it. But I'm with you in terms of, property. People can afford to buy a second home, want to rent it out or keep it for themselves. I think they should be entitled to do that. I'm not entirely sure why we should be telling people what they can and can't do, how many people can live in their homes. But there is a knock-on effect for local people when an area gets, say, gentrified in many cities, local people being pushed out. Now, you don't have a God-given right to live in the area you grew up in. Most people couldn't afford to live in the area they grew up in.
No, but that works both ways, right? So those rich second homeowners that might only go and occupy those properties for a certain period of time, and then they rent them out for the rest of the time. So let's say that they're occupied 2/3 of the time. That also buoys the local economy. Yeah. You know, those gastro pubs and those artisan bakeries that we all like to go and visit when we're on holiday. So we need to be careful what we wish for, that we don't actually end up destroying local holiday economies by way of deterring these second homeowners. The other thing to say, though, of course, is the reason that Michael Gove has made this yet latest headline-grabbing announcement is because he's concerned about the lack of social homes in those areas on the basis that holiday lets are taking up the allowance, if you like, of affordable homes by comparison. Right. Well, my message to Michael Gove is build more affordable homes and social housing, rental properties then. Don't persecute people that already own homes.
Well, I mean, this is it, because I do understand it's very different from someone saying, oh, I'm going to own one car or I'm going to own 40 cars. If someone can afford to own 40 cars and have somewhere to put them and they pay the tax on them, I don't see why that's got anything to anyone else. But the difference about houses from cars or I don't know, expensive jewellery, watches, shoes, whatever it is people have got want to spend their hard-earned cash on, is that you can only build sort of one house in one space, and we do have a limited amount of space to build homes. So if you live there, if you own that house, someone else can't. So there is an opportunity cost economically in terms of that, but that can be resolved by so many other ways, and most of it does involve, all together now, build more houses.
Yeah, bearing in mind only 10% of Britain is built on.
No, not even 10%. No, not even 10%. That includes golf. That includes golf courses and parks and gardens. I mean, most of this country is rolling countryside.
to hammer to crack a nut. This is another headline. Gove, I'm afraid, is kind of preaching to a base that he is seeking to encourage by way of the local elections, which, of course, by no coincidence, are in 3 weeks' time.
Quite coincidental. Thank you very much indeed. That's Russell Quirk there, property expert, my TalkTV colleague as well.